Congressional leaders are preparing for the worst ahead of a far-right rally this weekend on Capitol Hill. Members of extremist groups plan to call for, quote, justice for people charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol. For more on how lawmakers and Capitol Police are getting ready, let's bring in Nikole Killion, who's covering the story on the Hill for us. Nikole, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called a briefing today with congressional leaders and Capitol Police. Who's going to be at this meeting?
Yeah, well, good morning to you, Vlad and Anne Marie. And so we expect congressional leaders to be at this security briefing later this morning here at the Capitol. Speaker Pelosi, of course, but also you'll have House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy, as well as from the Senate side, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. All of them will be taking part in this briefing with U.S. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger. And this kind of comes on the heels of a series of briefings that the chief and others within leadership, from the Sergeant at Arms to the Architect of the Capitol, have been conducting these types of security briefings with lawmakers, primarily some of the lawmakers that have jurisdiction over U.S. Capitol Police in recent days. Mostly a lot of those briefings taking place late last week. And so now you've got the leadership, which will be briefed on these security preparations ahead of Saturday's rally.
How are Capitol Police preparing for this rally? What are the security measures that they are putting in place?
So what we know at this point is that the U.S. Capitol Police have put in a request to reinstall some of the fencing around the Capitol. It likely won't be as comprehensive as that fencing that we saw right after January 6th, which really encompassed not only the Capitol grounds, but also extended outside of the Capitol grounds to include some of the congressional office buildings and, really just kind of lock down the area. So we don't expect it to be that wide, but we do expect some kind of perimeter at minimum around the Capitol. And so, again, that is subject to the approval of the U.S. Capitol Police Board. So according to our reporting, as I mentioned, we know that request has been put in. We don't know yet if the request has been approved, and if so, when that fencing may go up. But obviously, we would expect that to happen in the coming days. In addition to that, we know that the U.S. Capitol Police has also has a new surveillance system that is installing. It is on loan from the U.S. Department of Defense, but it will allow U.S. Capitol Police to kind of have this HD 360 view of what's going on the ground, which is an enhancement. And then, again, we are still waiting for additional details from U.S. Capitol Police, but we do know that they intend to have all of their available staff on duty that day.
Yeah, and Nikole, the Capitol Police recommended disciplinary action for 6 officers in connection with the riot on January 6th. Break down for our viewers, what did the investigation find?
Well, so keep in mind there were a couple of investigations underway, more than a couple, I should say, some 3 dozen. And so after investigating most of those, and in most instances, they found no cases of wrongdoing. But there were these 6 individuals where they did find some potential violations in terms of conduct that was unbecoming, also failure to comply with directives, improper remarks, and improper dissemination of information. We don't know exactly how these individuals are being reprimanded. For instance, if they're being suspended without pay, the U.S. Capitol Police wouldn't get into those details, saying that it is not public information at this time. We also know that they do have an additional investigation pending into at least one other official for unsatisfactory conduct.
Nikole, I want to ask you something that we spoke to Ed a little earlier about as well. There's going to be a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing. We are going to be hearing from the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. The focus is going to be on the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'm sure that both parties will have lines of questioning that will be clearly defined. What do we expect to hear from both sides of the aisle?
Yeah, well, to Ed's point, we do expect that this could get contentious. Look, this will be the first opportunity that lawmakers have to publicly question an official from the Biden administration, of course, in the midst of the evacuation and after. We do know that administration officials held briefings and calls with lawmakers that at times got heated, but this is really the first time that there will be this opportunity, as I say, to publicly question such a high-level official like Secretary of State Antony Blinken, albeit virtually. But that being said, we know, Republicans really want to kind of conduct this in a Benghazi style, fashion, who knew what when. And so they do intend to really push the envelope here in terms of trying to pin the administration down and pin the secretary down on this botched withdrawal in their view. How many Americans are still stranded in Afghanistan? How will the administration get them out? The military equipment that was left behind in the hands of the Taliban. They want to know more about the process of vetting refugees. All of these have been concerns among Republicans and some Democrats, quite frankly. A lot of Democrats, though, are also pinning the blame on the former administration, the Trump administration. And so, I think you'll kind of hear that contrast in argument during today's hearing. But also, as I mentioned, they have similar questions. They too want to know the status of the situation on the ground at this point and how the administration will now handle this process of resettling these hundreds of thousands of people that they have since evacuated. So keep in mind, today's hearing is one of two. So in addition to the House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing, we do expect the secretary to also testify before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee as well. And certainly I expect this will be one of many hearings to question officials in the Biden administration. Certainly lawmakers on both sides of the aisle want as much information as they can and aren't willing to let up on the administration just yet.
All right, Nikole, thank you so much.
You bet.